Hello and welcome to this introductory video on qualitative characteristics of financial information. The characteristics refer to the key traits financial information should possess that is actually produced by different kinds of organizations. Or in other words, what main characteristics the users of such financial information would like to see in the financial statements produced by the organizations in which they have made their investment. Let's make a start. So the qualitative characteristics are provided by the governing organization ISB in a document which is called the conceptual framework. And although it is useful for all sized organizations, the conceptual framework and therefore the characteristics particularly affect the companies which are subject to follow them. Let's take an example of a publicly listed company to understand the importance of these characteristics. So we know that investors, like shareholders, invest their capital in companies, i.e. they are external stakeholders. The shareholders expect the directors, managers to utilize their investments effectively, keep their funds safe, and also make a good financial return on their investment. Now, how do the investors ensure that their interest in the company is secured? Well, they need timely information, financial information about the utilization of their funds by the directors, managers, right? If you were the shareholder, you would expect the same. Now, managers, they do provide this information in timely manner to their investors in form of summarized financial statements. But there is a problem. How can the investors ensure that the information is actually authentic? It is unbiased. Well, of course, there are checks made by independent parties like auditors on the financial statements. They ensure that the financial information is true and fair before it actually goes out to the shareholders. But how do the auditors ensure that? How do they check information to confirm its truthfulness, its fairness? This is where the conceptual framework and accounting standards come into the picture. The conceptual framework provides underpinning qualitative characteristics the financial information prepared by all entities should possess. The accountants, while preparing the financial statements, and auditors, while checking them, would ensure that the information presented ticks all the boxes of being true and fair. Okay, understood? Now let's look at what these characteristics are. So ISB's conceptual framework states that there are two fundamental and four enhancing characteristics that you are seeing on the screen right now. We're going to start with the fundamental. So the fundamental characteristics or the main attributes of the financial information are this. First of all, relevance. It comes right at the top. The conceptual framework states that the relevant information can influence the decisions made by the users of such information. In other words, it can affect the decisions of, say, shareholders regarding their investment in the company. The information provided is often used to predict the future performance of the company. Or in other words, the relevant information has predictive value, it has confirmatory value, or it has both. So how do companies ensure which information is actually relevant for the users? The relevance, according to the framework, depends on two issues: materiality and its nature. Material information is such that if omitted or misstated, it could influence the decision of the users. For example, no including or deliberately reducing the value of specific type of loan to improve reported debt levels of company. It may make the financial position of the company look better than it actually is. As a result, the users may decide to increase their investment and therefore also increase their risk associated with the company. Now let's discuss the nature. The information, no matter how small, may also be considered relevant simply because of its nature. For example, in UK, the large companies are required to report the remuneration of directors and executive managers, no matter how small the amount, but because it is relevant and can influence the decisions of users, it must be reported. Okay, Now, the second one, faithful representation. The financial information reported should be faithfully represented, and it is faithfully represented if they are complete, neutral, and free from error. So, complete set of information includes all required attributes of the financial statements. In other words, all information that is useful for the users to understand company's financial position and performance. This includes information provided in the financial statements and also the explanations for them in the associated notes, in the notes section. Neutral means unbiased, not manipulated in any sense, and free from error. Of course, there should not be any material errors or misstatements in the information that the business has presented or provided. Okay, so these are the two fundamental or must-have characteristics expected in the reported financial information. Now let's glance over the enhancing characteristics, which are not the must-haves but do enhance the quality of reported information. The first one is comparability. The information presented must be comparable by the users with company's previously reported information and also the information provided by other organizations in the decision making. For these reasons, the companies should be consistent in using policies and methods for reporting same items year on year. Okay. Now, the second one is verifiability. The reported information should be verifiable by the users. In other words, all different types of users and independent observers should be able to reach an agreement or consensus about the reported information of an entity. Then we have timeliness. Of course, the information will not be as valuable if there were kind of delays in reporting it. Okay, so it needs to be timely. And lastly, understandability. This term is also self-explanatory. The reported information must be presented in a way that is understandable by the users. Of course, in doing so, the users are expected to have reasonable knowledge of business and economic activities. So these are the enhancing characteristics. Now, let's quickly recap. The financial statements or financial information to be useful for the users, they must have two fundamental qualitative characteristics, relevance and faithful representation, and four enhancing characteristics, which include comparability, verifiability, timeliness, and understandability. Okay, so that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you very much for paying attention. Take care.